Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome back. Oh, it's all blurry. Why is the screen all blurry? Well, maybe it's not. Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome back to Our Wyoming Life, where today we've got a fun-filled show for you. Let me restart that because that sounds really stupid. Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome back to Our Wyoming Life, where today we are actually going to tackle the barn. We're going to be cleaning the barn out. We're going to be disinfecting the barn and showing you how we do that every few months here on the ranch. We also have a very cool surprise in store for you. We had a video not too long ago where you guys might have noticed a calf in the barn. We're going to talk about what's going on with that calf and a sale today on our website. It's a flash sale and you can get 10% off certain items. I'm going to tell you about that as well. It's all coming up on Our Wyoming Life. Alrighty guys, we are heading back here into the barn, which is just off the sale barn, where we have to do a bunch of work today to make the living quarters back here safe for our animals and everybody else that's in here. Now everybody knows about cleaning barns and how much fun it can be, but in the wintertime, we've got a lot of animals that stay here in the barn in order to stay warm. Now they're not our cows, but they are our auxiliary animals, let's say that. We've got llamas and we've got donkeys that stay in here, a goat, as well as a couple sheep, and we do have a calf that's over here in this stall. Like I said in the intro a few videos ago, you might have caught a look at her, and today I get to tell you all about her. Gang, allow me to introduce you to Darla. Now, Darla may look familiar because Darla is actually number 2's calf. Number 2 was one of the longest reigning cows here on the ranch. She passed away here just a few weeks ago, and we decided to pull her calf out of the rest of the herd and start taming her up. There's a number of reasons for that, mostly just because it's fun. It's always fun to have a calf that's a little bit nicer, a little bit more friendly, and to help the herd move through as the herd grows. She's just over 6 months old. Number 33, as you can see there. Sorry, girl, she's still a little skittish. We actually let Carrie name her, and she came up with the name Darla. The cool thing about this calf is that this calf is Carrie's bonus. Here, not too long, hopefully, this calf will become Carrie's calf completely, and we're going to take you guys through that process. Carrie's been taming her up and making sure that she's all friendly and good to go, but today, because we are sanitizing the barn, we actually have to move her out of here. And for that, I'm actually going to have Carrie come and give us a hand. Alrighty guys, this is Carrie. She didn't know where the camera was. Nope. Carrie has been here on the ranch for how long now? You've been working here?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. And Darla has become kind of your best buddy. She comes out every morning. They take care of each other, because I would say Carrie takes care of Darla, but I think that it's a mutual affection that's going on there. With the sanitizing of the barn, we actually do have to get her out of here, so that's why we brought Carrie along to help us move her. This is the first time she will have been outside in
a little while.
Yeah, like a month or so, probably, pretty close to it. So we're going to get her moved up into the air-equipped corrals where she can spend a little bit of time while I'm cleaning up in here. Now, we haven't had to move her, so this might be somewhat interesting, yeah.
Hi, baby.
Oh, your lock's in the way. There we go.
Come on. You want a treat? Come here.
Carrie actually got her to where she'll eat out of your hand, which is nice. Come on, no, no, hey, go, no.
Come on.
Go that way.
Come here. Come on.
She's not too sure about this. Come on, kiddo. There we go. So this is new. I always think it's very interesting how curious cows are, and of course, once they reach a new area, they do tend to snoop around a little bit. They want to see what everything's all about. Whoa, there she goes.
Calf Jimmy.
Well, it looks like she explored all the corrals that she's going to be able to get into. She's got water over here in a water tank, and this is where she's just going to hang out for a little bit. She's got some food if she needs it or wants it. It's not as good as the food that Carrie gives her, but I'm sure. Carrie, thank you for your help.
No problem.
I'll probably be able to get her moved in myself, but we'll see if I end up calling you.
Okay, I have a radio.
Okay, perfect. All right. Now the fun part, where we can start cleaning the barn. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stalls here in the barn. And like I said, donkeys, goats, alpacas, sheep, and of course a calf live in here. Each stall, kind of I've learned over time, has its own challenges depending on what animal is in it. So like this stall that I'm opening up here, this is actually the donkey stall. Ethel and Gus come in here to stay. We're going to get this cleaned out as much as we can, get as much as the manure and muck out of here that we can. As for Darla's stall, hers isn't too bad. Carrie does keep up on that one pretty well. She cleans it out every single day. Back here we've got a stall that we're not using. This one is actually empty, vacant at the time, right now anyway. This is the stall where the goats, right now it's Tallow, who's our buck goat, and the sheep live in. This is their stall. And then over on this side is where the alpacas stay. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that we have all these animals out here in the winter time, and they all have access to the common area of the barn. So that's where we're really going to be concentrating, because a lot of times these animals that are in a single stall, and it's their stall and they're in there, we don't have to worry too much about pathogens and that kind of stuff building up in there, because it is their own stall, except for the donkeys. We're really going to try to work on that one pretty hard. As for Darla's and the sheep and the goat and the alpacas, we're going to clean them out, but we don't have to worry about getting them perfectly clean, because like I said, they're living there. They're going to be used to their own bacteria or whatever else they might be putting out. But cleaning the barn and sanitizing the barn is a super important thing. So it's a lot of work, and it can be tedious, but it's something that we have to do almost weekly here on the ranch, just to make sure that everything is as clean as we can keep it. The other big part of the equation is the emus. Now, the emus technically don't have their own stall, although we will put them in a stall if we have to. They kind of hang out here in the middle as well. Birds are really susceptible to all kinds of different parasites and all that kind of good stuff, bacteria, viruses, whatever else there might be. So cleaning out, like I said, this common area is very important, not only for the animals that get to hang out in here all the time, but the emus who come in here at night and hang out in this common area as well. So I'm going to get started here with the donkey stall, and we're going to take a look at some of the tools that I'm going to use to do this. To get it started, we're going to need a wheelbarrow. The bigger the better, the less trips. It makes me very happy. So this is actually the biggest wheelbarrow that we have. We're going to start out with this one and use it for hauling the muck out, where we're actually going to save it, and we save different manure for different purposes as well. So we'll talk about a little bit about that coming up. Another tool we're definitely going to need is a scoop shovel. Comes in handy. And then a couple maybe more specialized tools that maybe you saw on Green Acres, if anybody remembers that show. But the big one that we're going to use is actually a pitchfork. which looks like this. There are multiple types of pitchforks that you can get, different angles. There's all kinds of different styles. Different angles, like this angle of the pitchfork, you can get flat pitchforks, you can get different numbers of tines. I actually like a 5-tine pitchfork. It sounds silly, but it's one of those things that makes life a little bit easier when you're scooping up stuff. And then stuff that you can't get, you can get with the scoop shovel. In fact, it actually all becomes about scooping, and this is another type of fork that we use. Now, this is considered a hay fork. This works really good if you have bedding in the stalls, which we do in some of them, and it's got a number of tines, almost like a pitchfork, where it'll actually leave the bedding behind, and you can pick up all the stuff that you don't want in the stall. A couple other tools that I like to utilize while I'm doing this might seem a little strange. One of them is actually a leaf rake, which can work really good for covering wide areas. And I have a landscape rake, which people think is odd sometimes, but these landscape rakes have very, very stiff tines on them, and you can use it to pull stuff out of either the alleyways or the stalls themselves. So that's enough yapping about it. I suppose we should probably get to doing something. And like I said earlier, we're going to get started here in the donkey stall. This is probably the worst one of any of them. And it's just a matter of scooping up. This is why I really like the 5-tine pitchfork. I was going to say forklift, but no, pitchfork. Works really well for scooping a lot of this stuff out. If you leave it too long, you end up with compacted soil and poop and everything else underneath your bedding, and there is quite a bit of bedding in here, which makes it really easy to scoop it up and get it out. So once I end up with a full wheelbarrow, I can actually take it outside and dump it. And we have different piles for different animals. Different nitrogen contents of the poop make a big difference. And I kind of want to keep it separated until we figure out how we're going to compost. For the cows, we have one pile. Horses have another pile, donkeys. And then for the goats and the alpacas, they have a whole nother pile for themselves. Our manure piles are located just outside the barn, so it makes it pretty handy. And as you can see, this pile over here, this is all cow. We're gonna put all horse here until Erin tells us which compost pile that she wants it in, and then we work from there. We can come scoop it up with the tractor. It makes life a lot easier. Now this stall is the hardest stall to clean, the donkey stall, and I'll tell you why. It's because we end up using hay as bedding, in this stall. It doesn't matter what we put down for bedding, the donkeys are gonna eat it. And we put down shavings before, they eat them really fast, they're really expensive. And that's like pine shavings, I'll show you those in a couple minutes. But so we decided to start putting down hay, which might not have been the best idea, because a lot of what I take out of here isn't actually manure, it's just wet, rotting hay. So eventually my plan is to come in here with a very, very small skid steer, maybe even like a walk behind skid steer, so that I can get in here and just scoop all of this out and get it completely out. Now I can tell when I get down to the base, because there's actually rock at the base of this corral, or this stall. So once I start hitting rock, I know that I'm where I need to be. As you can see, it actually is already probably 100% better than it was before. One of the interesting things about these stalls also is that they were built with drainage in mind, so they actually build up towards the back. So there's more rock in the back than there is in the front. That's good and bad, because it actually makes the front of the stall harder to clean than the back of the stall. But we're not done yet, because now I want to bring my rake in and kind of get out all the small material that I wasn't able to get with the pitchfork. This is where that landscape rake will come in handy, because you can get it right into the corners and just pull stuff back. I like the landscape rake just because it is so wide. You can get a lot done in one time. Now you can use like a garden rake or whatever you want to use for this, but for me, the wider the better. But we're still not done, because now that I've got this pretty much cleaned out, all the manure is out, now I'm going to come in and sanitize the entire stall. And now we're back in the shop, where we're going to get to the next part of this equation, and that is the disinfecting part of this. Today I'm actually using DCNR disinfectant. It's pretty good, works pretty well. You can mix it up in a sprayer. Now you can also use a bleach and water solution. Just make sure that you go online and look up what ratios you want to do that in. This has instructions on it, of course. It's good in barns. All you have to do is just keep the animals off of it for about 10 minutes for it to dry and do its thing, and then you can bring the animals back in. So we're going to mix this up. It's really simple. I have one dose left in there. I've got a little mixer, and we're just going to mix some water and some disinfectant. Now I'm hoping this sprayer works. I didn't test it ahead of time. I probably should have. And dump our last dose in there. I'm going to have to get some more of this. And water. It's kind of hard to see with all the bubbles, but it does have a nice pink kind of hue to it, which is nice. I'm kind of like it because you can almost see where you've actually put it down at, which is nice to be able to track that. So, put my lid on, and I want to give it a really good shake, a really good stirring. Like I said, I didn't test this one, so, oh yeah, there we go. It works just fine. Okay, we're gonna meet you in the barn. We'll start spraying. So really quick before we get to the spraying part of this, a couple things. Number one, on our website, OurWyomingLife.com, today only, Tuesday, it's a 24-hour flash sale where you can get 10% off all printed merchandise. That includes t-shirts, hoodies, beanie caps, that kind of stuff. Just go onto the website, OurWyomingLife.com. Check out the apparel section. You're going to be able to see a whole bunch of stuff that you can get for 10% off today. If you missed our Black Friday sale, this is your chance to take advantage of that and shop for that person on your shopping list who might be a little hard to shop for, or you waited till the last minute. The other thing I want to do before we get started is the animals' waters. Now, I don't want to get a bunch of this disinfectant in the water, so I'm actually going to dump their waters out. I'm going to do that out in the center area where there is drainage, so it's going to get out of here. But I'm going to dump their water out just to be safe. I don't want to get a whole bunch of whatever disinfectant this is in their water. And each one of these stalls have their own heated waterer in them, but I don't want to risk it. So I'm going to dump that out. I'll have to refill them up when we're done. Now it's time to disinfect. So this stuff you can get all over the floor, all over the ground. I guess when you're, I don't know. If you're outside, it's called the ground. If you're in a barn, is it called the ground or the floor? I don't know. Probably a heated debate could take place there. But I do want to just get this stuff sprayed out as much as I can all over the place so that it's doing what it's supposed to do. I can also spray it on the fence posts, on the fence itself, on the walls, and it's going to disinfect everywhere that I need it to. The better you have your sprayer set up, kind of a misting action, the more coverage you're going to get, which is what you're going for. And it doesn't take a lot. In fact, I think that bottle that we just ran out lasted me about a year or so, doing this every few months. And that's all there is to it. Now we're going to let this dry for about 10 minutes. We're going to move on to another stall where it's a lot easier to clean. Horse stalls are notoriously bad just for the amount of moisture that ends up in them. Now the alpaca stall actually isn't horrible. So this one, we're just going to go through and clean up with that red pitchfork, what is it, shavings fork, whatever you want to call it. We're going to clean it up with that, get out a majority of the alpaca poop. That actually will go into a different pile because a lot of people like to use that for their gardens, and it goes directly in the garden without any compost or composting. That was simple. The goat pen is cleaned up much the same way. Just have to scoop out little piles of pellets. So like I said, the goat and the alpaca manure goes in a different pile for gardeners and whatnot that might want to be able to use it without composting. So I've got a pile back here behind the barn that it just goes into. So now eventually this will all go into probably like a large 1-ton bag that we can put this in. I might go through and sift it to get some of the shavings out. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that yet, but all the alpaca pellets, all the goat pellets, really good for folks. And hopefully we can find somebody who can utilize it in the spring. And I guess that's if Erin doesn't take it all. Our emus are over here. They're a little annoyed that they're locked out of the barn right now. Hi guys. So before we get to Darla's pen, which is a cow pen, of course, because she is a cow, we're going to come down and spray out the alpaca and the goat pen. Now, we're not... I've got a tail. There we go. We're not going to actually spray down the floor in here, and that's because we haven't removed all the bedding, but I can concentrate on the walls, the gates, all that kind of good stuff, because obviously that's where stuff can hide out also. So that's where I'm going to spray in here. We also have another water tank that we're going to dump out, and this one will actually drain back out of the barn. Okay, now more spraying. So as you know, bacteria can hide anywhere, but this is one of those preventative measures that you never know. If you didn't do it, would it be a bad thing? Probably not. You hope not. But by taking care of this and doing this, we're actually being a little proactive. A little preventative maintenance goes a long way, especially when it comes to these animals in the wintertime. So about once a year, I'll actually go through these corrals, completely clean everything out, come in with a pressure washer and actually pressure wash all the walls, clean everything up completely. But in between those times, like I said, we do this about every 3 months, 3 or 4 months, something like that. Now the last corral that I have to tackle is actually Darla's. She has the biggest corral here in the barn. In fact, it's what's considered it's actually a double corral. And we could split this one in half if we really wanted to and have two separate corrals. But for her, we decided she needed a little bit more room to walk around, so we took out the center divider, and now it's a bigger corral. The nice thing about Darla's corral here is that I actually disinfected it before she moved in. So I don't have to worry about spraying hers down too heavily. I might give it a little bit of a, I guess, a rinse. But we just want to get all the manure out of here. This is something that's done daily for her. Because she's in this corral pretty much all the time right now while we're working on taming her up. For her stall, we're just going to spray down the walls. With her corral, pen, stall, whatever you want to call it, I interchange all three words, done. Now we can move on to the common area like I was talking about a while ago and start getting this cleaned out. Now this portion is where I actually get to utilize my leaf rake, and we clean it out separately because of this. This is emu poop. I drug my foot through it or something happened, but it is nasty, sticky stuff. I don't know if we want to mix it in with compost, so what I do is actually just leave it separate. Erin can make that decision somewhere down the road. But since they live here primarily in the middle of this barn, that's what most of this stuff is in here. Now, animals do, poop as they come in and out and stuff like that. But we definitely I don't want to mix the emu manure, whatever you want to call it, up with everything else. So I'm actually just going to get it out of here separately and make its own little pile. Uh-oh. Well, might be time for a new leaf rake. I just busted that one. Now we're gonna have to do it like a little shorter. Well, you know what? I guess we can retire this one. And we'll grab the landscape rake to finish this up. And that pretty much does it for the cleaning portion. I'm going to run through and disinfect this middle part really quick, and then we will put something in here for the donkeys. I'm not quite sure if I want to use shavings yet or if I want to bring in more hay. They eat it either way, but I think shavings might be a little bit easier to deal with today. As you can see here in the common area, I did give everything a pretty heavy dose, pretty much soaked it as much as I could in order to help out all the animals that are going to be hanging out in here this winter. So we're going to give this about 10 minutes to dry. Hopefully it dries up in that amount of time. With the weather, we'll see. And then we are going to get the donkey stall taken care of and bring Darla back, and then we can let the animals in. It's been about 15 minutes. As you can see, our fence is now dry, so I'm going to take that as a good indication that everything is starting to evaporate, soak up, do whatever it's got to do. Inside of this corral, inside the donkey's corral, I'm actually going to put down a bag of shavings this time. We'll see how well it works as compared to the hay did. I also still need to refill their waters, but I'll spare you that. And we've got a new bucket in here. That pink bucket down here is for the goats, or for the donkeys, and that's going to be their new treat bucket. Hopefully they don't break this one. Shavings are basically just pine shavings. I don't have a knife. I'm going to find a knife. There it is. So they're basically just pine, spruce, fir shavings. So we can just spread these out on the floor. When we come back in to clean this up next time, should be a little bit easier. Hopefully the donkeys don't eat it all. I'm not going to put a whole bunch in here, but I am going to add in one bag, which can be spread out in a highly scientific manner. And it's done. So our next goal here is to actually go get Darla, bring her back, get her back in her stall where she belongs. Make sure everything's closed up. Open up her stall door. And we can go find her. Hey Darla, ready to go home? Come on, girlie. Come on. Come on, let's go. It's almost like she knows where she's going. Come on, go back in the barn. Come on, girl. Go in the barn. Come on. There you go. Good girl. And right back into her stall she goes. Good girl, Darla. As for the rest of the animals, I'll go open up their gates. They can come back up here into the barn as they see fit. It's a pretty nice day out, a little windy, but pretty nice, so they may stay out, they may not come in. But of course the emus have to come in and see what's going on. Check it out and see what I did. It's nice to be appreciated. Hey kiddo. So now you know that when we say we're going to clean the barn, it's not as simple as just going out with a pitchfork and grabbing what you need and getting it out of here. It's about taking care of the animals, making sure that they're all happy and well adjusted and healthy, right? Healthy is a big thing. There's more to it than just scoop and poop. Thanks for coming along with me. You remember today, that sale is going on just today. It's a 24-hour flash sale. You can save 10% off all printed merchandise, including t-shirts and beanies and hoodies. Go on over to our website, ourwyominglife.com, and check that out. So that's it for me today. You've now came along as we clean the barn and seeing that it's not, well, it is a pretty crappy project. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time on Our Wyoming Life.